I'm Leonhard Pfeifer. I'm a furniture designer. I'm currently based in Porto. I was originally born in New Zealand and then studied design in Australia before moving to London, where I established my studio. We were 20 years in London and then moved to Porto 5 years ago. So my father was an antique restorer, and so I grew up in his wood shop since I was a young boy. I then went on and studied industrial design at university, and so and then I worked in industry for a long time in a lot of different areas not connected to furniture. But furniture had a gravity that pulled me in. And so when I started working myself, I think I was lucky in that I could combine the skills from the production side with the more digital skills using early systems of CAD. And so as I'm designing now, in my mind, I'm working out the processes needed to shape every piece of wood, every component in a design as I'm going. And I think that's an important step as a designer, to know that what you are designing can be produced, and even more, how it should be produced. So Carousel came out of a development that was initiated by a discussion I had with Gonzalo, who was then the creative director of Wewood, and he said that he wanted a sideboard with a surprising feature, something that really surprised the people, and so it's 10 years ago. It's such a and so I started developing different ideas of functions that I thought would be useful, but also a surprising element of a sideboard, and settled upon a rotating carousel. It was something I'd never seen in a sideboard before, but at the same time it seemed like a very functional element to be adding, this rotating storage. For me, I think I always saw it as somewhere to store bottles and glasses as part of a bar, but I think it can also be it has broader functionality than that, because it's the slats are open, so you can use it to display. But if it's rotated around, then it's kind of kept safe as well. And so the carousel was the first time in my design career that I was asked to add extra features. I think as a designer, it's very easy to design something amazing, but then price or production, other aspects come in, and so you're always bringing it down. But in this case, the original carousel had a wooden top. And Gonzalo gave me the feedback. He thought that we could make it even more special, and so we developed the marble top. But a part of the issue with that is that behind the carousel, the thickness of the marble gets very thin, and so we needed to develop the wooden collar that goes around the carousel itself, that allows the marble to sit on each side. I think in any size business, furniture development can take a long time. What can be really great about a smaller, family-owned company is that you can talk directly to the decision maker and have a project, get the green light, and then development can move forward quickly. Whereas in a bigger company, there's more layers of meetings and defending the decisions. So it can take a lot longer working with a larger company. My father was Austrian, and so I feel like I always had a pull to Europe. So I think I would have believed Europe maybe, but not specifically Porto. So we were in London for 20 years, but we had a young family. And London is a big city. It's an amazing city, but at the same time, it has the pressures that any big city does. And so we were thinking of maybe moving further out into the suburbs, or then we started looking at other places to move. We actually quite like Barcelona. We went to Barcelona several times for holidays and thought Barcelona could be a good option. But then I visited the Wewood stand at the Milan Fair, and Salvador invited me to come and visit the factory. And so I came to Porto just for 2 days, and I went and saw the factory and met the team. And then Salvador took me to a very flash restaurant in Gaia that overlooks the Ribeira area of Porto, and we sat and we had a port tonic, and I just started thinking, actually Porto's a nice city as well. And so I talked with my wife, and we moved about 6 months later. It was actually quite a quick process. It sped up, unfortunately, at the time because of Brexit. So as British passport holders, we needed to move quite quickly. But we arrived in 2019. So Porto for us is getting better. Just after we arrived, there was COVID. And I think being stuck on the opposite side of the planet to our families and not being able to fly home was was a lot of anxiety for us. So now we're learning Portuguese a bit more, and we've got a lot of friends, and our kids are doing well at school. So Porto's becoming easier for us. And I should say as well, we're not in Porto City. We're in Matosinhos, near the ocean. And so last week my son was doing a surf camp, and we're really making the most of the lifestyle here in Porto. I often wish that I was a performance artist, because I think bands, they can play a song and they get instant feedback, and then if it's not good feedback, then the next day they can play the song slightly differently, and they, for their creative outlet, they get instant feedback. And I think being a designer, the iteration process is much longer. It takes a lot longer time. So I think definitely persistence is essential, but it can also be a very long process between getting products into the market. So I think what really helps the designer is a consistent vision, and sort of if there's a direction given, that direction stays consistent. What's difficult is when the vision changes, and then so the designer's left behind. Feedback is very important, and relationships are really important. And I think the closer the relationship, the more you work together, the more the designer and the brand can come together with a consistent vision. A number of years ago, I was speaking with the buying team of a large retail chain, and they had figures showing that 70% of their furniture sales happened online. And they were saying it's pointless having a showroom, we can close the showroom because everything is going online. But I really don't believe that's the case. I still believe that customers come in and look at the furniture, they might measure it, they see the quality. It might be that the end purchase is done online in the evening and while they're relaxing. But I think the initial research, still physical shops where you can go and see the physical piece, is really important. And I'd like to believe that's going to continue to be important in the years to come. I feel there's a visceral connection that you can have with an actual object that you just don't really appreciate on a computer screen. Maybe in times to come we've all got VR goggles and it's a different thing, but at the moment the best way to experience furniture is to be able to touch it, to feel the quality. I always love seeing my furniture in any environment. It's a real joy that to have something, a thought in your mind that becomes an idea, that becomes a rendering, that becomes a physical thing. And so to see the carousel here is wonderful. What I really love, though, is that it's become more, as the collection from Wewood increases, and it stays part of that collection, it becomes more of a bigger whole. And so it's really wonderful to see the collection growing, and then presented in such an amazing environment as the Wewood store. So my Carousel sideboard is here at the Wewood store in Lisbon, and please pop in sometime and have a look.